What's up, everybody? Showstopper here. Okay, so there's been a lot of discussion about the new update coming out, mostly positive, around the internet. And one of the things that I'm hearing a lot of people say, and just seems to be the viewpoint from basically everybody in the community, is that this update massively buffs killers, or it provides killers some great buff, or however you want to classify it. And I just don't understand where that's coming from. I personally myself, I've been playing this game since release. I have over 11,000 hours on this game. I play mostly killer. When I look at this update, it's scary to me. I see that survivors are getting massively buffed and killers are getting significantly nerfed. Um, well, let me take a step back from saying that, because both sides are being changed to some extent. The thing is, the changes that the killers are getting, I do not feel provide any real upside. There's definitely a downside, and we can discuss that when we get into perks and other things. But let's focus on what the upside, what I think that people think are the massive buffs to killers. Okay, let me scroll down here for a minute. Here we go. Under gameplay updates. So any benefit or perceived benefit that the killers are getting, I believe are found in, outside of perks, are found in these two sections. One, generator speeds, and two, general killer improvements. Both warrant their own investigation and discussion. For the purpose of this video, I want to focus on general killer improvements, because I think it's just mind-blowing how people are perceiving this. Okay, so this breaks down to three categories pretty much. The first, well, I guess we'll start with a quick review of their synopsis. The average kill rates, how many survivors are killed each trial on average, are a little lower than we'd like. Shocker. A sentiment echoed by many community members. To ensure the killer feels like an unstoppable force to be feared, we're still talking about Dead by Daylight? We're making slight improvements to many aspects of killer gameplay. Okay, well, kill rates are lower than they'd like. Notice that they want, what, 2 kills and 2 escapes every game? So that means it's lower than the 2 kills, whatever. So the main improvements boil down to 3 categories. The first category is the improvement to kicking pallets, breaking walls, whatever. And generators, that speed was increased by 10%. The second point, they've reduced the cooldown for successful basic attacks by 10% and reduced the duration of the survivor's speed boost upon being hit by 10%. So it moves from 2-second speed boost to a 1.8-second speed boost. Okay, I'm going to discuss those 2 categories in a second. Let's focus real quick on the third category. Finally, we've tweaked Bloodlust to increase in power quicker than before. In most cases, Bloodlust does not activate, though there are rare cases where it can be necessary. Agreed. The long buildup often leaves the killer in a bad spot, even if they eventually get a hit. We're adjusting Bloodlust tiers to activate after 15, 25, 35 seconds of chasing, rather than 15, 30, 45 seconds. Okay, Tier 1 of Bloodlust has not been changed. It was 15 seconds before the patch. It's 15 seconds now after the patch, after the update. Tier 2 was reduced from 30 to 25. In my opinion, that's pretty much the only thing that killers were given in this update. This increase to Bloodlust level 2. That can play a part in the game. Again, Bloodlust 1 was not touched. Bloodlust 2 was reduced by 5 seconds. I think this is a good change. Bloodlust 3, however, was reduced from 45 to 35 seconds. Let's be honest here. Bloodlust 3 is probably a non-event. It does not happen often. If the killer needs Bloodlust 3, he's already in a world of trouble, more often than not. I mean, there are some novel situations that we could discuss, but for the most part, Bloodlust 3 is not that important. But Shell has been reduced from 45 to 35 seconds. That's big. Well, one of the reasons why you don't hit Bloodlust 3 often, and even Bloodlust 2 as much, is because during a chase, you're likely to engage in some event that would restart Bloodlust before you hit 3. Whether it's breaking a pallet, whether it's vaulting, or readying up your power, or even landing a hit on a survivor. You're likely to engage in one of those actions during a chase before the timer for Bloodlust 3 occurs. So I don't think that the Bloodlust 3 is going to have that big of an impact, or any significant impact, to be honest. Maybe we'll see otherwise in gameplay. But I do feel the reduction in Bloodlust 2 from 30 seconds to 25 seconds can provide some benefit. I don't think it justifies a lot of the other things that took place in this patch, but it could provide some benefit. In my eyes, this is the only thing of any somewhat small significance that the killers received. Now, onto the other two, which I think a lot of people are getting hung up on, and we can discuss both of these together because they both suffer from the same flaw, or same flaw in reasoning. So the first one is they reduced the break walls and pallet speed by 10%, not 10 seconds, by 10%, and kicking generators also by 10%. And then the second one is successful basic attacks cooldown has been reduced by 10%, and the survivor's speed boost was reduced from 2 seconds to 1.8. Here's the problem with these two changes, or not the problem, but why they mean nothing, which I'm going to be clear here. These two changes mean nothing. They literally mean nothing at all. This is a placebo. It's going to feel better when you play killer, maybe. You might feel that extra, umph in your kicks. You might feel that extra, I get to get back in the chase after a hit. But it has no practical impact on the game or on a chase. The reason why is this. The survivors will still be able to get to safety. If they drop a pallet, if a survivor drops a pallet and the killer has to kick it, whether he was kicking it prior to this update at base speed or whether now he's kicking it 10% faster, it does not matter because the survivor will still be able to get to the next tile, the next pallet, or the next window. Because of that, what did that 10% get you? It is going to have no real impact on chase. You're not going to be able to get a hit now that you weren't able to get before. The small distance you're going to pick up in chase, it's negligible. It doesn't mean anything because, again, the survivor is going to be able to get to the next safe area. Just 0.2 seconds slower, whatever. And the same thing applies with the basic attacks cooldown. Even though it's a 10% cooldown and reduction, and even though their speed boost is only, not only, but was reduced from 2 seconds to 1.8, reduction of 10%, that does not matter because they're going to be able to get to the next tile, the next pallet, or the next window, which essentially resets the chase. It puts them in safety, and then you do that whole interaction game again. Because of that, these improvements will have no impact on gameplay. Now, I'm going to put some B-roll footage and discuss it and go over it in a second to highlight this. Because I know some people are still thinking like, no, that doesn't make sense. 10% more, chasers are going to be quicker. Chasers are not going to be quicker. Chasers are going to be quicker. Killers are going to be downing us. This is absolutely ridiculous. How can behavior buff killers like this? This is why these shitty killers are able to win games now, because behavior's hand-holding them. Behavior's hand-holding somebody, but it's not the killers. But that's whatever. Okay, so I'm going to discuss those in a second. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to explain this. Okay, let's go to the next part of this video. Oh yeah, by the way, if you're still watching, thanks. Hit that like, hit the sub, hit the follow, ring the bell, bang the drum, do all that good stuff that you do. All right, let's go to the next part. Okay, so to highlight the insignificance of the general killer improvements provided in the patch, we will be assisted by everyone's favorite basic attack killer, the pig. Hi, Amanda. Okay, so first, with respect to the 10% increase to kicking pallets, kicking walls, and the like, we're going to run Brutal Strength. Now, what Brutal Strength does is it gives you a 20% increase to the time it takes to destroy pallets, walls, and generators. 20%. Now, that's twice as much as was provided for in the update. The update's 10%. But to really drive the point home, we're going to combine Brutal Strength with Fire Up, which adds an additional 4% increase the speed of kicking walls, pallets, gens, and such for each generator completed. So what that means is when 2 generators are completed, that's going to add an extra 8%. When 3 gens are completed, that's going to add an extra 12%, because 4 times 3 is 12. I think math is hard sometimes. Yeah, 4 times 3 is 12. So that's 20% from brutal strength. And then let's say 3 gens are completed. That's an additional 12% from fire up. That's 32%. A whopping 32% speed increase, which is more than 3 times the amount provided in the patch. Okay. Second, to account for the second general killer improvement provided for in the patch, which is extra 10% reduction in the cooldown of successful basic attacks, we're going to run Save the Best for Last. So Save the Best for Last for each successful basic attack on a survivor not being the obsession, you gain a stack of Save the Best for Last, which is 5% reduction to the cooldown time of successful basic attacks. Since the update provides for a base 10% cooldown increase, that's equivalent to 2 stacks to Save the Best for Last. So at 2 stacks, we're going to have what we get from the update, which is 10%. At 4 stacks, we would have a 20% reduction in the cooldown of basic attacks. That's a tongue twister. You get what I'm saying. 20%, which is twice as much for in the patch. At 6 stacks, 30%. And at 8 stacks, 40%. So we're going to run all 3 of these perks. And we're going to evaluate actually in game what effect, if any, what improvement, if any, this has on our chase potential. Okay. Now remember, what we're looking for is what happens after we take the action that takes into account the buff. So, for example, kicking a pallet or a successful basic attack. We're looking to see what happens after we take that action. Is the survivor in trouble? Is it enough time for them to get to safety? You get what I'm saying. All right, let's get to the game. Okay, so here we are. Here we go. We are a pig. We are loading into Wrecker's Yard with the build we discussed earlier. Again, remember our focus is on the effect of these killer improvements on chase. This is not a pig tutorial or a killer tutorial, but all right, let's go. Let's get into the game. All right. Let's go find a survivor. Damn, this looks dark on console, doesn't it? All right. Exploded gen. Round. All right, Jeff. 1 hit, 1 save. Stack. Okay. Remember, we have brutal strength. That's a 20% increase to kicking speed. The killer improvement is 10%. This is double. Let's see what happens here. Drops pallet. Notice also after he dropped the pallet, he didn't continue running or anything. He sat there and he started to do a heal, sew himself up a little bit. So he's actually losing a little bit of distance by doing this, but whatever. Drops pallet. We kick it. He runs. Okay, notice he did get safe right away. He could have ran inside, dropped the pallet, ran inside, took the window. Any way you put it, hey, we kicked the pallet, he got to safety. 20%, but whatever. Let's keep going. He gets the vault. He's safe. What he does afterwards is on him. And this is some of the most boosted, whatever. He made a mistake. And he goes down. We now have 2 stacks to save the best for last. This is equivalent to the 10% killer improvement in the update for the hit cooldown. 10%. Put a trap on him. We hear footsteps. We know someone's over here waiting for the pallet stun, whatever. Hit. Okay, so we hit him with 2 stacks. That's equivalent to the 10%, right? Okay. He starts running. Okay, he took whatever angle he took for whatever reason. He could have gotten to the pallet over here already. As a matter of fact, he could keep going and come around and get to the pallet. So with the 2 stacks that we got, which was a 10% cooldown, he could have still gotten to safety. So no effect. Whether we had that 10% or not, he's able to get that pallet. He took this crazy angle. He could have still looped around and got to the pallet, but whatever. Okay, he goes down. We now have 4 stacks. And then, yes, past Showstopper is highlighting the fact that he could have gotten to that pallet. That's why I went over there and hit it. That pallet was more, he had that pallet at least twice. The first way around or the loop around. He could have got that pallet. Whatever. Okay. Yeah, I'm nodding my head to signify they have finished a gen. We have 1 stack of fire up. So now our kick and prowess has raised to 24%. Yeah, I think I'm blind and or stupid, so I lost him. I think he actually went to that pallet in the back. Whatever. I'm trying to create situations where I take chase more than just, you know, necessarily playing to rip the life from their bodies. All right. We had 4 stacks on this hit. We're going to have 5 now. We still have the fire up. You get the hit on him. Cool down. He has that pallet. Okay. He has the pallet, right? He drops the pallet. We are now going to be kicking this pallet with 24%. The 20% from brutal plus the 4% from fire up. This is more than double what is given during the killer improvements. Let's see. Take pallet. A hero comes in for him, whatever. Guess what? He still gets to safety. Vaults. Gets to safety multiple times. This guy's going to get annoying. I'm going to have to hit him. I didn't want to chase this guy because he's the obsession. And I would lose a stack, but he's just going to get annoying, so whatever. So we hit him. We lose 2 stacks, whatever. So we're back down to 15%, but this is still better than what's given in the update. So it'll still highlight our what we need. Zone him out of this. I should have swung earlier coming around the corner. Whatever. On a side note, she had sprint burst. That's why that missed. She had sprint burst. She was waiting as she bursted off. But this gives me a second to highlight something also. During this game, nobody's running any exhaustion perks except for her. What's her name? Hattie? She has sprint burst. She's using it here. So during our chase, there's no overcome. There's no live. There's no dead heart. There's nothing. They're not using exhaustion perks. This game was a perfect highlight of the points. It's like the survivors was acquiescing to what I wanted to do and said, okay, sure, we're not going to run overcome or live or anything else that's going to affect our chase. It's going to be straight pure chase. Thank you, survivors. So also keep in mind, during normal games, people are going to have dead heart, the new one, old one, whatever. They're going to have live. They're going to have overcome. They're going to have those perks. This is without those perks, even in effect. So in IRL, in real life, in normal games, this is actually going to be worse. But whatever. Yeah, she sprint bursted off. She's gone. Oh, no, she's back here. Whatever. We have 3 stacks to save. We get a hit on her. She's still going to be able to get around, get to the pallet to safety. After the save stack, she actually makes it all the way here for this vault. That's with 3 stacks to save, which is better than what we've given in the patch. Drops a pallet. Remember, we have 24%. Well, okay, this isn't the best highlight. So, yeah, she played this kind of terribly. Yeah. Whatever. She would have gotten to safety, though, if she tried, but whatever. Okay, here we go. 5 stacks he was hit with. I mean, this pallet's right here. He gets that pallet. Now notice, we have 2 stacks of fire up. Okay? So that's 20 from Brutal, plus this 2 stacks of fire up. That means we're kicking this at 28%. Way more than double what we get during the update and the killer improvements. Kick pallet, guess what? He's still able to get to safety. Twice. He had that, and he has this loop. I mean, he kind of messed this one up a little. I think I messed it up now. I'm looking at it. I could have, whatever. And he still gets to another one. He had 3 tiles to get to. Yeah, maybe I played this like a pleb a little. I thought I was going to get him double back around with the red stain. He kept going, whatever. And here comes this pain in the ass again. We lose 2 stacks to save, whatever. I don't want to chase him because I don't want to give up stacks for our purposes. Okay. He dropped the pallet. We kicked the pallet. Notice, we have Brutal plus 3 stacks of fire up. That 3 stacks of fire up is 12%. 4, 8, 12. 12% plus the 20 from Brutal makes 32%. My math might be wrong. Maths is hard. But I'm pretty sure that 20 plus 12 is 32, which is more than 3 times the improvement from the update. We kick the pallet. Guess what? He's still going to be able to get the distance he needs to get to safety. Again, he had more than just this loop as an option. Yeah, I get stunned, so this isn't the best example. But, yo, maybe they should make enduring base kit. How about that, guys? Give us 10% recovery speed from stuns. All right, we come around here. Cut him off. Whatever. Do we go? I thought we went after the other guy. I thought I would have went after Quentin for the new chase. Again, I played this game for testing purposes. To the pallet. We kick it. He gets to safety any way you put it. He gets to safety still. We hear her. Okay, here we go. Notice again. 20 plus the 12, 32%. We kick, he drops. We kick pallet. He runs. He would still get to that tile over there. He would still get to the truck. We would not have picked up the distance. Pick up, hook. Okay, let's look at this. What is this? 5 stacks to save. Okay. Hits him. That's 5 stacks to save. 5 stacks. If this pallet was still here, he would have been able to get it the first run. He'd be able to get it the second run. This pallet's here. He gets to this pallet. Again, remember, so that's 2 tiles he was able to get to. I think this should highlight the biggest problem with the game. The problem with the game is the maps. There's too many resources for survivors and they're too close together. Notice they still have multiple tiles they can get to. Anyway, so he had dropped it. We kicked that pallet. He had the first tile. He still gets to this pallet. Notice also with save, excuse me, not with save, with Brutal. So after the 5 stacks of save, he was still able to get to the next tile. Here we go. Brutal, 20%, plus the 12% for fire up, 32%. Let's kick. I believe there was a pallet here before. He would have been able to get to it. This pallet's down, or else he would have been able to get to it. It's down, so whatever. If there were... I don't know what the hell this is. There was like 2 pallets that was broken earlier. Had they not been broken, this guy would have been able to get to them. Whatever. Now I'm thinking about it. I might want to do I should have probably did a second game to get a couple more examples. But I think this highlights the point that I'm making. And I think he must have had self-care. He just healed after that. Okay, yeah, whatever. We lose a stack on this. I mean, I don't know if anybody wants to see me secure a kill, down someone, and then face camp another person. Death would save the best for last. But in case you do. Anyway, hits him. He would have got to safety. It doesn't matter. Yeah, this is the death, and then here comes the face camp to death. Actually, no, this... Whatever. Anyway, my point remains, my point is this. Yes, killers receive... And this, for this experiment, what we were running, which is save the best for last, which basically the whole game we had 5 and 6 stacks, if not more, throughout the game, which is way more than the 10% that's provided in the update. Plus, we've had brutal strength with multiple stacks of fire up, which is way more than what was provided in the general killer improvements in update. The purpose of the experiment was to show, even with these numbers, which is far higher than what's provided in the update, they're still able, the survivors are still able to get to safety. They're still able to get to the next tile. If they're able to, and I'm not saying that, oh, well, there shouldn't be a cooldown. What I'm saying is this, though. If you look at the updates, people think for some reason, oh, killer's chase potential is going to be crazy now. They're going to be down in survivors. They got such an amazing buff. The buff is a placebo. It's going to make playing killer feel better. That extra little 0.2 seconds for kicking a pallet is going to feel better when you play it. The extra cooldown time is going to feel a little better, and you're going to feel more responsive, and that you're able to get back in the action. But the practical implications of it are negligible. It's nothing. Why? Because the survivor is still able to get to the next tile. Because they're able to get to the next tile, that buff, it does nothing. It literally does nothing. It doesn't impact the game, because when you get to the next tile, the next pallet, the next window, it resets the chase, and they're safe. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, I think everyone gets the point. It's not lost on you guys. Some of y'all are pretty smart. Y'all understand what I'm saying. And I know a lot of people are going to try to argue with it. No, but it's going to make the chase shorter. No, it's not. No, it's not. If they get to the tile and... forget it. I'm not going to labor the point. Okay. How do I stop this? Go next portion.